was going through your mind when you didn't listen to me and dumped that silo in the lake?
There's a real gas station in Oregon fans drive hours to visit. Why? Because The Simpsons drew it, frame for frame, decades before anyone noticed. That's not a coincidence. That's a pattern. By the end of this video, you'll know where Springfield really is, which real murders inspired Sideshow Bob, and why one animator hit his childhood home in an episode you've seen 50 times. And the last one ties straight back to Matt Groening's own family.
Screw up our lives so badly that we need a backup plan? And that plan is right here!
Let's kill the biggest myth first. Springfield is not based on one single town. Matt Groening has said in interviews he picked the name because it sounded like the most generic town in America. There are 34 towns named Springfield scattered across the country. Groening wanted a name that could belong anywhere, a town that felt familiar no matter where you grew up. That was the whole point. But here's the twist most people don't know. Groening grew up in Portland, Oregon, and Springfield, Oregon sits just 2 hours away down the highway. He's admitted in more than one interview that town was sitting in the back of his mind the entire time he was building the show, so the writer's room leaned into it hard. They built running jokes around real Oregon geography. They dropped in references to real streets straight out of Groening's own childhood. Look at Flanders' address, 740 Evergreen Terrace. Groening actually grew up on a street called Evergreen Terrace back in Portland. That's not a coincidence. That's a signature hidden in plain sight for over 30 years. Now here's where it gets stranger. Fans didn't figure this out through some official Fox statement. They found it themselves, digging through old interviews and forum posts, piecing together a map that Groening never fully confirmed. Think about that for a second. An entire internet community mapping a fictional town using clues from one man's childhood. But street names were just the start. The show didn't stop at neighborhoods. It started stealing entire buildings.
At least bring my clothes.
Shirts, socks, everything you need.
You didn't bring my pants.
Who am I, Tommy Bahama?
Remember that gas station from the intro? It's real. It's called the Springfield Rainbow Market, and it sits on Main Street in Springfield, Oregon. The show's background artists used it as a direct visual reference for the Quick E-Mart. Same roofline, same pump layout, same awkward little parking lot out front. Fans figured this out decades after the show aired, and now it's basically a pilgrimage site. People fly in just to stand next to a gas station. That's how deep this rabbit hole goes. But it goes even deeper than one store. The Springfield Police Station is modeled after a real building in Eugene, Oregon. The Simpsons house itself has floor plans that match a very specific style of Pacific Northwest home from the 1950s. Groening's team wasn't guessing at any of this. They were drawing from memory. Every hallway, every porch railing, every diner counter came from somewhere real, somewhere Groening had actually stood. And here's the part that gets left out of most fan breakdowns. This wasn't just nostalgia, it was strategy. Real locations are easier to animate consistently over hundreds of episodes because the artists already know the geometry. They didn't need to invent a new building every week, they just needed to remember one. And that raises a bigger question. If the buildings are real, what about the crimes?
Bring the chit from the applicable restroom to the purser.
You might have been fun 100 years ago.
Sideshow Bob's obsession with framing Krusty didn't come from nowhere. Writers have confirmed the storyline pulled inspiration from real wrongful conviction cases making headlines in the early 90s. The idea of an innocent man framed by a trusted public figure was ripped straight from true crime coverage the writers were reading at the time. It's a heavier idea than it looks on screen. A beloved entertainer, framed by someone the whole town trusted. That's not just a cartoon plot. That's a real fear people were living through. Even smaller episodes carry this same weight. The nuclear plant meltdown fears in early seasons mirror real anxiety from 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl. Homer's job at the plant wasn't just a joke about a lazy dad falling asleep at a control panel. It was social commentary wrapped in yellow skin and a donut. The writers took real fear, real headlines, real disasters that were still fresh in people's minds, and they hid them behind slapstick so well that most viewers laughed without ever realizing they were watching commentary on nuclear safety regulation. That's the trick. Make it funny enough that nobody notices how dark the source material really is. Here's a question worth sitting with. How many jokes have you laughed at over the years without realizing they were built on something real? That trick shows up again in the smallest, quietest reference of all.
JG seduced me with cobbler. but after the 8th pan, it tasted like ashes.
Here's the one most fans miss completely. Homer, Marge, Bart, Lisa, Maggie. Those aren't random names pulled out of a hat. Homer and Marge are Groening's real parents' names. Lisa and Maggie are his real sisters. Bart is an anagram of the word brat, but he also stands in for Groening himself as a kid. He built an entire show around his own childhood and hid it in plain sight using his real family's names. For over 35 years, millions of people have said Homer Simpson out loud without knowing they were saying a real man's name, a real father who probably had no idea his son would turn him into one of the most famous characters on television. Groening has talked about this in interviews, almost casually, like it's not a big deal, but think about the weight of it. Every time a rerun plays somewhere in the world, his actual parents' names are being spoken by millions of strangers. That's not just a tribute. That's a form of immortality nobody signed up for. That's the reference that started everything. Not a building, not a headline, a family.
Your bill came from the Obsidian card. Are you sure you're not spending too much money?
Hush, you sound like Smithers.
Now put all 4 of these pieces together. The town, the buildings, the headlines, the family. None of this was random. Groening built a fictional town using real bones, real streets to walk through, real buildings to stand next to, real headlines to react to, real names to say out loud. That's why Springfield feels so alive after all these years. It's not because the jokes are timeless, though a lot of them are. It's because the foundation underneath the jokes is real. You're not just watching a cartoon town. You're walking through a rebuilt version of Matt Groening's actual childhood, one episode at a time.
Go on, Urchin, we have work to do.
Wait, he can help. No one's better at nasty schemes than this kid.
So here's what all of this really means. The Simpsons isn't just parody, it's a diary. Groening took his childhood streets, his family's names, his home state's geography, and real news stories, and folded them into something that looks like pure comedy. But underneath it, there's a real map, a real family, a real history that most viewers never noticed. That gas station in Oregon isn't just a fun fact anymore. It's proof that the most successful cartoon in television history was built from memory, not imagination. Now you know what to look for, and the next time you watch an episode, you won't just see jokes. You'll see Portland. You'll see a family. You'll see a man who never really left home. So tell me, which reference on this list surprised you the most? Drop it in the comments, because I read every single one, and I've built entire videos off of comments just like yours. And if you want to know which real people the writers turned into actual Springfield characters, watch the video right there. It picks up exactly where this one left off, and it goes even deeper into the real faces behind Springfield's most famous residents.
30,000. Do I hear 50,000?
$1 million. Woo! MB, if you could only feel what I feel right now.